Hey there, this is me, Mohammad Vamik. Welcome back to our next class for your O-level computer sciences. And in the last of the classes, we were discussing the chapter database. In today's class, we are going to carry on with this. So even before starting it, I'm going to discuss with you that what are those areas that we have covered into our class already. So uh, some of the areas that we have covered already in our classes regarding database is basically like how you can identify the structure and basically components of a database. You can define that what is a database, what is a single table database. A database is created out of tables are created out of records are created out of fields. We have discussed this already since our last classes. Other than that, I have discussed with you regarding different types of data and their data types. So with that, we also discussed that, for example, if we have a different number of categories, so how are we basically going to have those respective data types, right? Like, for example, if it's a name, then it is definitely a different data type. But for example, if it's any other data, so we also need to add that appropriate data right there. Other than that, I also discussed with you into our last lecture regarding the primary keys. That primary key is basically a unique key, and all these lectures are available in your MS Teams along with the PowerPoint presentations, along with the activity. So I hope that everything is clear to you. Just in case if you feel like that if anything is not clear to you, so please feel free to ask. I'm here to help. So, first of all, in today's class, I'm going to give you a recap of all that what we have done. Then we will going to move to our topic. So, from right here, so far we have covered that what is basically a database. I have already discussed with you guys that a database is basically a collection of data that is set up into a structured way. A structured way basically means that it is totally organized. This is usually on a computer, uh, but into a structured form. A database is basically where you can store data, where you can manipulate data. A database can hold objects, for example, a person, an item in a shop, an order. So each of these objects are stored into the table. What is basically a table? A table is a set of data about one type of an object. We have also discussed into our class regarding the fields as well. Fields are basically some category of data. We have discussed regarding records as well, that all of the records in a table about one project. So just giving you a recap of all of the things. So first of all, if it is a database, so this database is basically a structured way of storing your data. All of the data from the database is stored into your tables. From tables, it is stored into fields. What is fields? A field is basically an individual piece of data that is being stored about an object. And all of the fields, if I take them all together, right? If I take the one row right here, this is going to be considered as a record, right? Like, for example, here you can see that you have a table. The name of the table is book, so you can basically see that you have here book name, author, publisher, genre, fiction. So first of all, if I'm taking this record, all the whole of that, so this is going to be considered as a single record. So the database has basically five number of fields. Those five fields are basically these are your number of fields, right? Like, you have a book name, you have author, you have publisher, you have genre, you have function. So the database has basically four records right here. Other than that, we have discussed into our lectures regarding the data types. So data types is basically the characteristics of a piece of data, right? Some of the data types we have already discussed is basically a text, alphanumeric. If I have a text that is going to be basically a combination of letters, symbols, or numbers, right? Like for example, if you are writing hello, if you are writing an address of someone, if you are writing a password or something, so the numbers are treated as text and not numeric. So we basically cannot add them together. Other than that, we have a character, and character is going to be considered as a single character, right? Like for example, if you are working with the grades of someone, for example, you have secured the A grade, you have secured B grade, so you are going to consider this. Other than that, we have the booleans values as well. So booleans value are basically only two of the options, either yes or no, either true or false. We have integers, whole numbers, we have real, the one with decimal numbers, the date and time. We have discussed this already. Then the next area that we discussed is regarding a primary key. So primary key is basically a unique field into our database. So that means that we are going to look for the unique value that is not being repeated again and again. That is going to be a unique identifier for your record. So far, we have discussed all of this. Now, in today's class, we are going to carry on with this lecture, and so we are going to discuss right here regarding read and understand and complete the structured query language SQL. Now we are going to discuss this SQL language in today's class, and we are going to discuss the different types of SQL languages that we have right here. So basically, if I'm referring to an SQL language, so first of all, you need to think of an SQL language like, right, like first of all, it basically stands for a structured query language. A structured query language. Yes, right here. SQL is considered as a structured query language, and a structured query language basically means that if you are like, for example, if you have a question, for example, if you have a query from me, so what you are going to do, you are going to raise your hand and you are going to say like that, sir, I have a query, I have a question. So you are going to discuss with me your question into a way that is actually understandable to each one of us, right? Like you are going to say that in English so that it's understandable to us. So that is our language. That is the language that is being used by you and me. Similarly, when you are working into a database and right there, when you have a query, query basically means that right there, when you have a question, when you have a query, right? Like, for example, if you have a list of students, a list of 30 students, and out of those 30 students, you want to have only those students that have secured A in computer sciences. So that is going to be considered as an example of a query, right? Like, for example, a question. For example, if this is a bunch of data, I only want that specific query out of that bunch of data. So when I am asking that query, I need to use a structured language. So this is what an SQL stands for. I'm repeating it back again for all of you that structured query language, it is basically a language, a structured language that is used for raising your queries. So if it's a structured query language, that means that it is basically used for writing scripts to obtain useful information from a database. If it is a structured query language, that means that it is used for writing scripts to obtain useful information from your database, right? Like, for example, a username and password can be used to retrieve information from database. So patient ID can be used to fetch information from the table of the patient. So that means that if I want to fetch those details, so I'm going to take the patient ID right with me. So as per the basic idea of a structured query language, that basically a structured query language is used to define and manipulate databases. As you guys can see right here, that SQL is stands for basically structured query language. This is the standard language that is used for data types, so that you can add your queries, you can add your questions, you can manipulate the data, you can define the data with the help of an SQL language. What you can do is that you can define your tables, you can change your tables, you can add data to the tables, you can search with the help of a query, and you can even perform calculations as well, right? So this is basically a structured language that gives you the ability of that. If I mean the structured language, that means that if I am writing it, this is going to give me these correct results. For example, if I want to define a table, I'm going to write the structured language. If I want to change the table, I want to have that structured language. If I want to add the tables, I'm going to have those structured language. So this is to be known as an SQL, and SQL is considered as a standard language that is used to define and manipulate databases. So, as far as SQLs are considered, we are going to consider here scripts. So, what is a script? Scripts are going to be basically a set of statements that have to be executed. So, it's basically like now I'm going to teach you that what are the number of scripts that we can have in order to work with an SQL language. So the first query language that we are going to discuss is going to be select and from. So this select and from, this is basically a set of a command that allows you to select a set of fields from a table. That means that, for example, if you have a table, and if the name of the table is something, right, like for example patients. So if you are basically using select from script, so select from basically means that you can select some set of fields from that table, right? Like, you are not selecting all of the data, you are only selecting some set of fields. So for example, the table right here is called basically books. So right here I have basically book ID, I have book number, I have author, I have publisher, I have genre, and I have fiction. So basically you can see that the primary key right here is the book ID, and all of these are records. So if I want to select a field from this table, so what is going to be the format of that? The format that I'm going to use is going to be like this. So it is basically the syntax of that. The syntax basically means that, first of all, I'm going to select what? The name of the field. For example, if you want to select book ID, if you want to select book number, if you want to select author, if you want to select publisher, genre, or fiction, and similarly, from which table, what is going to be the name of that table? So for example, as you can see right here, that I have selected a book name from books. That means that the select command is being followed by the field name. That means that I have selected the field name, book name from the table books. So perhaps this query is going to return this data. So select book names from book. Select book names from book. Select book names from this table book, right? I hope that you are able to understand my point. Selecting book names from book. Perhaps what this is going to do is that this is going to output all these results right here. Picking daisies, night star, dreaming of the sun, cooking for fun, right here. So you can see that you have the same set of results when you are using this language. The field names and tables must be exact. Yes, this is very important, that the field names and the table names must be exact. If they are not exact, you are not going to have the correct results. So if the field name in the table genre, like even if you work by changing the case sensitive letters, then it is still going to be correct, right? Like for example, if it is a capital G, then perhaps it has to be the same here, otherwise it is not going to generate an answer. So for example, you can even select multiple fields with the help of that. For example, you selected the book name, you select the genre from book. So perhaps what is this is going to return? This is going to return all of the results that I have into my book name and all of the results I had into my genre. So this is basically my genre, and this is basically from the table that is book name that can be listed right here from this table genre. I have also created an output this for if you are writing two values and if you want to separate them, you can separate them basically with the help of a comma. So the order the fields appear in the query are really important. In which order they are being appeared, the data is going to return into the order they are appearing, right? Like for example, you selected the book name, you selected the author, you selected the two of the areas, but from which table? Book name. So perhaps as per the order, book name was first here, author was second here. So the results that are going to be generated are going to be same. First of all, you are going to have the book name, and then you are going to have the author. So here's yet another example. Select author, book name from book. So this is going to generate this output. So other than that, I have some questions of that, but let me just give you a recap of what I have just discussed with you. I started discussing with you regarding the SQL. SQL basically is a structured query language that helps you to do different tasks within a database. With the help of that, you can define database, you can manipulate database, you can define tables, you can change tables, you can add data to them, you can search for them, you can perform calculations. The first area that we have discussed just right now is basically the two commands, that is the select and that is the from. That means that you have the ability to select the field from the table, and that is going to quickly generate an output of that. So these are some of the examples that we have completed. Now we are going to move on to the next area, that is selection from where. This is what we are going to discuss. So basically, if it's a select from where, this is going to include a where clause in the select statement. So the select statement is same, but it has just added the where clause. So this is basically use that allows you to select only specific data. For example, if you want to order something, but it is costing you with something with a desired value. So this where basically gives you a condition, right? So these conditions are basically can be implemented with the help of logical operators. So sir, what is this logical operators? Logical operators are basically considered as, right, like for example, you have is equals to, you have greater than, less than, you have less than, equals to. So all of these values are considered as logical operators. So in this case, so let's take one of the example. So the following queries will use the following table. The name of the table right here is an order. Now select where has the format. So first of all, I'm going to select some field. Select some field. Okay. Uh, Select some field from table where condition. This is basically your syntax that you are going to implement right here. And for the implementation of this, we can see right here, this is your table. Now it says select first name, select first name, okay, selected. Select last name, okay, selected. Select posted, okay, selected. Now from order, from order, from order, where posted is equals to yes, where posted is equals to yes, where posted is equals to yes. That makes sense that only These are the areas where your posted has yes. So only this output is going to be generated. As you can see right here that this is going to return this. Simon, meet, ye, and whatever this is. But it is only going to return the two values because only they are only they are selected. Only the first name, only the last name is going to be selected listed. Number of items and total cost is not going to be shared because they are not selected right here. So I do have other options as well. Like for example, if I now basically select again order ID and posted from order, but where posted is not equals to 0. So this is basically going to generate the table, and this table basically has only the areas where you have the posted as no, and it has the only one value, that is your order ID, and posted because that is what you selected right here. You have less than, you have less than equals to, you have greater than, you have greater than equals to as well. That is returning a query. So let's check this one. Select posted, select first name where total cost is greater than 3.99. So select posted, select first name. So select posted, select first name where value of total cost is greater than 3.99. So from this table, the answers it is generating that this is basically returning the query of this, right? I have greater than as well, right? Like select first name, select last name from order where number of items greater than that. So this is it. This is for this area. I hope it's clear to you. Now, with the help of these conditions, you can basically apply conditions like you can even apply more than one conditions. So these are similar, right? Like what we are going to discuss into our programming area. So when working with multiple areas, you have two options here. You can add Boolean operators. One example of a Boolean operator is AND. Another example is OR. So if you are using and basically means that only data that meets both conditions will be returned. That means that both of the conditions has to be met until I mean you have no choice. Both of them has to be met. You have no other option. Whereas when it comes to an OR, this means that data that meets one condition or both conditions will be returned. That means that here you have a choice. Either if this should be true or either if this should be true. But when it comes to an AND, it says that both of them should be true. So right here, here's one of the example. Multiple conditions have the format. So if you have a multiple condition, this is going to be your format. Select field from which table, where condition and logical operator. So here is the example, order. Order ID, first name, last name, number of items, total cost, posted. And select order ID. Select order ID. Selected. Select number of items. Selected. Select posted. Selected. From where you have to select them, you have to select them from orders. Okay, I have selected the orders as well, where the number of items are greater than one and posted is equals to yes. That means that from this area the number of items should be greater than one, and from this area posted we should be only be working with the areas where it has considered as yes. So the query is basically going to return only one query, that is 1B. Why is that? Because it is greater than 1 and it is a yes. The other one was not greater than 1, but it was yes. So it is what that was not going to be returned. Only this value is going to be returned. Similarly, if I work with an OR, so select first name, select total cost, select posted from order where total cost is greater than 5 or posted equals to no. Now, this basically says that either only one of the conditions should be true, either this one or either this one. So, just in case if any of the condition is true, I have these results. So, I hope that this is clear to you. Other than that, I have order by. I have order by sum and count. So basically an order by means that you are ordering the values, and if you are ordering them, it could be in any either of the ways. For example, if you want to display them into ascending order, for example, if you want to display them into descending order, so it's totally up to you. But how you are going to write them, this is that what we are going to learn into an SQL. So for example, the order by statement comes after the select from or select from the where. So for if you want to have your items into an order form, so the syntax that you are going to use is going to be right like this. For example, here you selected the order ID. Where is the order ID? Here is the order ID. You selected the number of items. The number of items are right here. Then from order, okay, an order is the name of the table. Now order by number of items ASC. Order by number of items, order by this area, but you should be implementing here the ascending order. Ascending order basically means that you are going to start from the shortest to the highest. Now here you can see that only order ID and number of items are going to be listed. So order ID is right here, 1C, number of items 1, 1B, 2, and so on. That means that it is starting from shortest to the highest. I hope it's clear to you. I have another example right here that says the select order ID total cost posted from order where posted is equals to yes, order by total cost, but it should be into a descending order. So it's totally up to you that which order you want to implement on it. So now I am basically referring to the sum value of that, and sum basically means that if you are adding a sum of that, if you are adding all of the values together. So the syntax for writing the sum is right here, right? Like for example, select sum from which field, from which table. So you can also here use the where condition as well. So let's check one of the example. So select sum, and perhaps what have the field you selected? The field you selected here is number of items, and from which table? The name of the table is order. So this is going to add all of these values, and the final answer is going to be generated. It is really simple. It is calculated from adding all together the numbers. So right, like for example, select sum total cost from order where posted is no. So only those values where posted as no is going to be added as a sum, and your final answer is going to be 81.64. I hope it's clear to you. The next area is count. So count basically counts how many records is that meets the certain criteria, or if there are how many fields in the table. So for example, if I use this select count, this is going to be the basically the syntax of your SQL. So the following query will use the table order. Okay, so let's check it, right? Like for example, if I have select count order ID. Order ID, where are you? Here you are, and from the table. Now, this is going to count that how many values are right here. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. The answer your query is going to return, it is going to be 4. So for example, select count number of items from table where posted is yes. So where posted is yes, where posted is yes, where posted is yes. Only two values I have right here. So this is going to output you 2. So this is an example 3. Select count order ID from order where number of items are less than 10. So you only have two values. So this is going to return. So I hope that so far all of these areas are clear to you regarding the SQL language. So let me give you again a recap of that. So as you can see that basically an SQL is a list of commands that performs a given task, right? Like for example, this is basically an example of that we have already done, but I'm just giving you an overview of this, that this is selecting a table where patient ID should be this and order should be by this. So this is going to generate that output. Other than that, the SQL scripts that I have right here is select. from, where, order by, sum, count. We have done all of that. I'm giving you a review. Select basically means that you are selecting a field, you are selecting a column from a table. That queries that always begins with select. From means that which table you want to use. Where means that which record or raw in a query that have to match with a certain condition. Order by means that what is going to be the order of that, either ascending, either descending. Sum means that if you are returning the sum of all of the values. Count means that you are counting the name of values, right? Like for example, you can say that select field 1, 2, and 3. So this is going to specify the individual that you are selecting those fields, right? Like for example, you are selecting a field from a table, so you can even go like, right, a from statement takes this from this table, or if it's a condition, you can even apply where condition as well. So it's totally up to you. These are some of the uh, field types that we have already discussed, and I hope that this area is clear to you. Selection, from, and where. Other than that, I have right here uh, SQL SQL operators. So SQL operators are listed right in front of you. They can either be right like equals to, less than equals to, greater than equals to, between, like, and, in, or not. So you can basically add a comparison onto them as well. And if you want to work with the sum statement or the query statement, so for working with that, you can basically use select sum and then field, and then you need, this is going to specify the field column for the calculation. If you are using count, so you are going to use this. No need to worry at all, no need to get confused. I will be uploading a sheet for that I have just explained to you, and basically from that sheet you can overview all of the things that I have discussed in today's class. That is basically what is an SQL script, what are the scripts that we will be needing to use when we want to extract data, when we want to manipulate data. So I hope that it's clear to you. Just in case if there's any area which is not clear to you, please mention in the comment box. I'll be creating another video of that so that it's right clear to you. I will be uploading the concept file into the activity into this MS Team as well, so you can also go through that. So it's all totally clear to you. So these are basically some number of areas that should be clear to you. So it's done. I hope everything's clear to you. So thank you so much.